Hello everyone, and welcome to Off the Cuff, where the headlines come to life. And yes, today the headline is coming to live, vibrant life. I have with me today May El-Khalil, who is the president and founder of the Beirut Marathon. A wonderful initiative that we're going to learn about, and I am so pleased to have May Khalil with us today to talk about this initiative, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot about perseverance, about dedication, and about an initiative to create peace and to harmony within a world through this process. May Khalil, congratulations on your achievements, and also thank you so much for being here and talking to us about it.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, thank you. Wow, the Beirut Marathon. I know that was a glimmer in your eye one day, and you came up with this beautiful initiative, this beautiful concept, and you tie it into peace as well. Tell us what your inspiration was, and how you thought of an idea of a marathon for a country such as Lebanon, which is in a lot of turmoil. So talk to us, please. Tell me your inspiration.
Yeah, sure. I lived in Africa, in Nigeria. I lived a big chunk of my life in Nigeria for almost 23 years, and living over there was the right environment for me to develop all my skills for sports like horseback riding, tennis, aerobics, squash, and all of these things. I used to give aerobic classes because I needed the discipline, and after a few years I found out with the stamina I had, I was able to run, and I was running in the morning, running in the afternoon, and
on your own, just by yourself.
On my own, even on the streets of Nigeria. You know, some people think that it is not the safest place as well to run, sure, or to take the streets and run on. But when you are a runner, when you are a sports person, you become a very positive person. So even while running on the streets of Lagos, where I was living, I used to be very friendly, even with the people who were on the sidewalk, and they became more like supporters. So anytime they saw me running, you know, they made sure that they exactly, and they were there to protect me. So running became like a discipline for me, part of my daily routine. So you know how it is when you run long distances, you need to think. So the longer distances I ran, the bigger my dreams became, and that really helped me think of ideas or think of projects. Little did I know that the time I moved to Beirut, and that was in the year 2000, that I will create a marathon in Beirut. So the first year I arrived to Beirut, it was a great way for me to get to know back my country, the streets of Beirut, the beautiful streets of the city Beirut.
It is lovely.
So while running, the idea of a marathon hit me. I said, well, we as runners, we travel all around the world, but we don't have a marathon. So I started thinking of, you know, what to do to bring an international marathon to Lebanon, until one day, it was the 17th of November 2001, when I was training to do a marathon in Dubai. And it was the beginning of the raining season in Lebanon. And it was raining heavily, but I think like all of us runners, we don't care whether it's raining or where it's
snow.
Exactly. And I was unfortunate that morning. I was hit by a truck and went straight into coma. The truck hit me from the back, and I was sandwiched between the truck and the wall. I think what happens in this case, the mind acts as a defensive mechanism. So luckily, up till now, I don't really remember the details of the accident, but all what I remember that I fell on the ground. I was pinned actually on the pavement. I tried to stand up. Obviously, I couldn't because both femur bones were broken. There were serious tissue loss. The hips were fractured, and I started losing my energy. Luckily, my husband was with me on that morning, and I, followed my husband's eyes, and I started convincing myself, though my blood pressure dropped down to 3, but I started convincing myself that there was nothing wrong, the accident wasn't serious, otherwise my husband would have lost it. All what I remembered was 10 days later, after I woke up from a coma, to find myself, that I was no longer the same person I used to be. I had external fixators on both legs, on the hips, and I was on the respiratory machine, and I looked like a robot.
For anyone else, I think that would have been very devastating in every way.
Yeah, but the first thing I said, and that were the first words I said after coming back from coma. I whispered in my husband's ears and I told him, things happen for a reason. If I make it through, if whether I will be able to walk again or not, I want to do a marathon. And that marathon will be the sports event that will bring international runners to Lebanon. And by doing so, I felt I'll be paying back to the community. So that's how the story of the marathon started, when I was still in the intensive care center, and between life and death. I felt I needed to turn problems into opportunities. Otherwise, I would have ended my life. I would have lost my sanity, and at the same time, I would have made my life and the lives of the people around me miserable.
Sometimes through adversity becomes great things, and it takes that kind of person that wants to overcome that and create that positiveness and determination. For someone that was, in a hospital bed, not walking, and to think about creating a marathon, which is obviously has become an international icon, speaks scores, to your dedication and to your vision. So this was just a vision at that point. So how did we move forward and create the interest and create the participation, as you said, internationally for this marathon? And a little bit, I'm Lebanese as well, and I've been to Lebanon once in my life. I went in '77. I was born and raised here. So knowing the country a little bit, that's not the focus. So I know that it took a lot of education and a lot of building those bridges to create something as phenomenal as this. So talk to us about what your challenges were and how you really moved forward initially in creating this.
Exactly, Siham. I think, when I talk about my accident, I would like to make it very clear. It's not because I am making a heroic story out of it. I know there are lots of people who've had worst accidents, or they've been through much more, but I think it's good that we hear each other's stories and we support each other. The support that I had when I was at the hospital was probably a reason why I came back. And I think this is the most important thing, is to talk about our problems.
Absolutely.
Not keep it inside us, and at the same time inspire
others.
Each other, because we do need each other. So
there's either way you put it, you cannot minimize this whole process that you went through, being where you were and having that vision and working on it. So obviously that is an inspiration in itself, and that story needs to be told for others to be in that position, to think forward and to think that, yeah, you know, this can be done. I'm not defeated.
Yeah, exactly. So in between operations, which I did a total of 36 surgeries. I stayed 2 years in the hospital. So that in between operations, I started thinking about the whole vision of how to do a marathon. And I started calling for meetings, you know, from my hospital bed. And that was a good thing, you know. I think what we need to do during our most vulnerable conditions, we need to set objectives and to set higher objectives and goals and look up to it, because if we live in this dilemma, I don't think we'll be able to move forward. Obviously, at the beginning, you go through denials. You say, why? And why me? What have I done? But I think, you know, after a while, you have to accept it and say, why others and not me? And I think, you know, the minute you accept this, you say, this is it. Where do I go from here? So the whole concept of the Beirut Marathon started from my hospital bed. So the first part of my operations were done in Beirut. Then I had to come to the States, where I did as well another year of constructive surgeries. So I decided, you know, after staying a year in the States, to go back and set a date, because I felt if I don't even put a date ahead of me, I will not be able to really go ahead and take this step forward. So when I came back to Lebanon, I started talking about the idea of doing a marathon. But the challenge was Lebanon was still recovering from a civil war. So how could you ask people who were once fighting and killing each other, you know, ask them to come and run side by side? And
there lies the challenge.
Exactly. And how could you organize a marathon in Lebanon where every second probably of our lives we're threatened by having either another civil war or violence or war or problems? And more than that, even the culture of running a long distance wasn't really that familiar. Yes. Definitely we had some marathon runners, but that culture of running long
really
wasn't that
there.
common.
It's more
exactly
soccer.
So I had to start from scratch. I on my walker, on my crutches, I went all around the country. I visited schools, I visited companies, and charity organizations, you know, just name it, even militiamen, political parties. My contact as well were, you know, visiting different mayors, because, you know, by going from one city to another, the mayors would come together, and they would bring the community together. So sharing my personal story, and at the same time talking about the objectives of doing a marathon. The objectives were, let's run all together, and
building
bridges and run for peace, unity. Let's put Lebanon on the international map, and all of these things became appealing to the Lebanese. So my personal story and the objectives were definitely solid factors that brought the Lebanese together. So the first marathon we did was in 2003, and it gathered 6,000 runners. And these people came because of the honesty and the transparency that we used by communicating the objectives or the message. And with the Lebanese, you know, they are wonderful people. When they have the opportunity to show the world that they are people they are people who love peace. in Lebanon, yes, we've had our share of civil war, but at the same time, if you talk to the individual Lebanese,
Absolutely.
they tell you this is not what they want.
Nobody wants war.
They want to live in peace, and they know that war is, I mean, we all lose. It's a lose-lose approach, and it's never a win approach. So the marathon became a platform. And back in 2003, when the gunfire, was
sounded for the start of the marathon,
for the start of the marathon, for a change, it was to announce,
something
a happy,
positive.
exactly, positive and a happy event.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. I know now that you have about 114 NGOs on board with your marathon, and you've had over 56,000 runners who have participated within the last year. How have you...
36.
36.
36,
okay.
yeah. And
36,
yeah,
56,
yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
But still, an exorbitant amount of people have bought into this process of building bridges, of being on one platform, of being able to look at life as maybe being physically fit, to run for a purpose, and then to run together. You have all different sects, all different countries,
Correct.
all different religions coming together on one platform for a specific goal, to enjoy themselves, to laugh,
Correct.
to be physically fit, to clear their mind, and also to do it together. And that is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if I had a hat on, I would tip it to you.
Fantastic.
Because I know how difficult it is.
You said it all. It's exactly the case. It's, as I said, we in Lebanon, maybe because of we have like 18 different religions, different political parties, different social, political cultures, and the sort of thing, to bring everybody to the start line and have everyone as well reach the finish line. The Beirut Marathon is probably the only platform that bring everyone together. In 2005, after the assassination of the late Prime Minister Hariri, the whole country came into a complete standstill. So we organized a 5-kilometer unity run, and over 60,000 people showed up, all wearing white T-shirts with no political slogans. They all came as well to show solidarity.
And to speak against violence.
To speak against violence, exactly. And since then, the Lebanese started really realizing that this platform is becoming a real chance for them to show the world their true color, their love for peace and unity. 2007, 2006, and 2007, we had as well serious challenges. We would be very, very close to having an event, and something would happen. And on the morning of the race, you would see, the number of runners multiplying. So we started with 6,000. Then last year we were 36,000. 2011 we had a different challenge. It was usually around the month of November the weather is great, but that morning we had a huge storm and the streets were flooded. But still everybody showed up because they didn't want to miss on the opportunity to showing the world that this is Lebanon, and
we can stand in unity.
Stand exactly united.
Beautiful. What I would really love to know, and I think our audience too, is the challenges that you faced in terms of creating that solidarity, in going to the different mayors and going to the different organizations and political leaders, and what the conversation was basically to this and to be on board, and your international outreach in regards to the marathon and the participation. What were the challenges, and what was the conversation that you had? We deal with a lot of those kinds of issues here in terms of creating that conversation of going across boundaries and understanding different views. We can agree to disagree, but yet we can still be friends, and so that concept is so important. So what was that conversation that you had?
Yeah, when you ask me about challenges, I tell you very, very little challenges we had, because as I said, we were talking one common language, and that was from one to another. It was heart to heart. It was the language that everybody wanted to hear. It was the call for action, the call for unity, peace. So wherever we went, people really adopted the idea, and whether they were runners or not, they wanted to be part of this event. I would like to mention that we are a bronze label as well. We are certified by the International Athletic Federation. So we are an international marathon, but we always carry slogans like we ran for the love of Lebanon, we ran for charity, we ran to stay united, and now our biggest message is peace. And who doesn't like peace? I think we believe in the power of sports, and now the whole world is looking at sports as a platform to change the world. It's universal. We speak one universal language. It's like art, it's like culture, and sports can really bring people from all walks of life. So when you ask me about the challenges, we've faced very, very little challenges.
That's beautiful.
We have the elite, the non-elite, we have men, women, disabled, mentally challenged. They all play equal role in this event. We even have mom who run with their babies. So we have the serious race, which is the 26.2 mile, and this is where we have runners from all over the world. Like last year, we had over 104 different nationalities. They came for the challenge to run, and we have the 10 kilometer, which is still the most popular in Lebanon. People run for different causes. Runners run for the NGOs that they believe in, and they raise funds and they give it directly to these NGOs. Beirut Marathon Association as well give back to the NGOs by giving certain percentage from the entry fee to the NGOs that are partners as well with us. We have developed different programs like the pledge system, the adopted team, which is part of the CSR initiative. We have signed memorandum of understanding with more than 22 different universities in Beirut, over 35 different schools. So we have noticed that our true solid partner is all of Lebanon. And so talking about challenges, I tell you, they are very minor.
Few. Well, that's a story that's very far and in between in terms of challenges, and I really commend you on that particular platform. And it is non-political, it is non-sectarian, it's about being a human being, and,
exactly.
and I think that's what really binds us together. Now, it's no secret that there's so much turmoil in Lebanon, and a lot of street violence, and a lot of fear that is among the people there. In terms of the marathon, logistically speaking, has there been any issues in regards to maybe the military or a certain situation that's going on that day where it affected the marathon, or where it created another conversation around it?
To answer your question, I tell you that we've been really blessed. When you talk about security, I don't think there is anywhere in the world that is probably safe enough. But in Lebanon, we have incredible support by the government, by the Lebanese army, and maybe because of the diversity that we have in this marathon, everybody wants this marathon to happen, because we have everybody's there. So I don't think anybody want to probably come up with things to disturb that morning, because it is a day of happiness. And I strongly believe in the positive aura, the positive energy, the goodwill. And this is something you do feel it on the morning of the race. Everybody's there, young and old. So I think because of that, I think there is always the power of good that probably becomes overwhelming. I would like to mention one more thing, which is the another race that we've started. The first edition took place last year, which is the women race, and this is to empower women.
This is in Lebanon too?
This is in Lebanon. The second edition took place only 2 weeks ago. It was on the 4th of May, and we had over 10,000 women, and supported by men. This time we invited men
to watch,
not only to watch, to participate as well. They participated in the 5-kilometer. We had the 10-kilometer women challenge, and they ran to challenge themselves. And we gave an open space as well for within the 5-kilometer for men and women to run together. We had over 61 different causes, and people ran for the causes they believed in, like the citizenship, which is still a big issue in Lebanon, and violence against women, or whatever, just name it. And it was a beautiful day, a day of happiness, solidarity. It was a positive day. We had children, and the pink color definitely was overpowering. And the beautiful thing is that men wore pink T-shirts in support of women. And here I can't but really thank the Lebanese men for doing that. And
it was men really wear pink.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
And they did it because they believe in women. Yeah, and they believe in the cause. So this is what the Beirut Marathon stands for. It's about the causes and the different reasons that we run for.
Very inspirational, very beautiful, and really quick. I want to tell everyone about these. These are wristbands, and it says "Peace, Love, and Run." And this is one of May's symbol for the marathon, and I wear it very, very, very proudly. May, we also have a video about May El-Khalil, about the marathon and the incredible milestones that she has reached in the years of producing this marathon, and it has touched us here in the United States as well. And through this video, you will see what I mean. May El-Khalil, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. May I extend an invitation to come and have everyone, especially the marathon runners, to come and run with us on the 9th of November 2014, which is the date for the International Marathon.
Absolutely. November 9th, 2014 in Beirut. We'll see you there. And hopefully it will be a run for peace across nations. Thank you for joining us on Off the Cuff. Thank you, May Khalil.
Thank you.
And inspiration for thought. We'll see you next time.